The attitude to women in the Third Reich was simple. Girls should serve the state and belong to it in body and soul, and one of the roles assigned to women in Nazi Germany was that of escort. The intimate life of German soldiers after World War I ceased to be their private business and became a state issue, which was facilitated by many different factors. First and foremost was the rapid spread of venereal diseases in the troops, which became a real scourge for the army. There were other difficulties as well. Not once and not twice, servicemen spilled military secrets to their mistresses. The talkativeness of satisfied and relaxed men were often used by spies. Also, the lack of proper heterosexual intimacy led to liaisons between soldiers and homosexuality. The politicians of the Third Reich believed weakens the nation and deprives it of courage. In addition, relationships with Soviet women, Polish and Czech women, were perceived as a threat to the purity of the race. The ineffectiveness of leaflets and posters was obvious, and Hitler came up with another way to combat male lust. By the beginning of World War II, a system of brothels was established, operating not only in Germany, but also in occupied territories and even in concentration camps. But that was not all. Mobile establishments were invented to accompany the soldiers. The difference between the brothels in the occupied territories and those operating in Germany itself was enormous. Women in the occupied countries were deprived of all their rights when they entered a brothel, and those who were unlucky enough to contract a venereal disease were often shot. It was easier and cheaper than wasting doctors' time and medicines on treatment. Another thing was the brothels in Germany itself. The German women working there were considered civil servants of the Defense Department, were paid a salary, had insurance and benefits. There was even a uniform and a production rate. The maximum was 600 soldiers per month. Despite the frightening KPIs, there were plenty of willing brothel employees. No, German women were not obsessed nymphomaniacs who dreamed of servicing 20 men a day. By the beginning of World War II, a large-scale brainwashing campaign had been carried out in society. Women were made to believe that they belonged to the state, and their main mission was to work for the good of the country in every way possible. The girls sincerely believed that working in a brothel was a contribution to the common cause, bringing victory and the triumph of Nazi ideas around the world. Not everyone was taken in the military escorts. The applicant had to be a pure-blooded German of tall stature with light hair, eyes, and skin. In other words, to meet the standard of female beauty in Germany at that time. Health was also important. How else could she withstand such a flood of men? The conditions of a woman's work depended on which troops she served. For example, for 20 pilots, there was one regular Frau who met clients in neat clothes and makeup and changed the underwear after each soldier. Girls intended for soldiers' submarines received men directly in bed, and sheets were changed only after a dozen meetings. For the lower-ranking military allocated one worker per 100 people. Officers were luckier. For them, the calculation was 50 soldiers per woman. Behind the troops in wagons rode mobile brothels for the lower ranks, which were located in the nearest village. Along with a leave of absence, men were given a pass to visit such a brothel, pink for sergeants and blue for soldiers. The soldiers received 5 or 6 such passes per month, and additional tickets could be given as incentives. Coupons were actively exchanged. There were always those who preferred food, booze, or cigarettes to sex. There were also privates who tried to use a blue ticket to get into the pink sergeants' brothels where the girls were prettier and healthier. At the entrance to the brothel, soldiers were given a bar of soap, a towel, and 3 condoms. Hygienic procedures were mandatory. According to regulations, a man had to soap himself twice, and only then was he allowed to approach a woman. The girls' working day lasted from 2 o'clock in the afternoon until 8 in the evening. However, they got up much earlier. After getting up, they had breakfast and medical checkups, a walk, and preparation for the reception of clients. However, this did not help much. Neither good nutrition, nor medical supervision, nor exercise did not compensate for the huge flow of men who came to the brothel. But there were among the women who served the needs of the Nazis and elite escorts, those who worked in the brothel Salon Kitty. This brothel became legendary thanks to the Tinto Brass movie of the same name, which became one of the most famous European films. The salon was opened in the 1930s and was located on the third floor of a house in Berlin's wealthy Charlottenburg neighborhood. To get a job in the salon could only young, intelligent girls from 20 to 30 years old with a good education and excellent manners, in addition fluent in foreign languages. Rumor has it that among Kitty's charges met respectable ladies from the high society of Berlin. Some were married to wealthy and influential men and had become escorts not for money, but for the same reasons as the girls working in the traveling brothels: to contribute to the common cause and to demonstrate love and loyalty to their homeland. Clients included Germany's most powerful men as well as diplomats from friendly countries. Among the regular visitors were Foreign Minister Joachim von Ribbentrop, Chief of the General Directorate of Imperial Security Reinhard Heydrich, and Walter Schellenberg, Head of Foreign Security Intelligence. Even Propaganda Minister Joseph Goebbels once visited the salon. But Hitler, who despised prostitution, was never in the salon and quite possibly did not even know of its existence. It is believed that Salon Kitty was intended for domestic espionage, surveillance of high-ranking officials of Germany and allied countries. However, historians have not been able to find a single confirmation of the still circulating rumors about microphones embedded in the headboards of beds, transparent mirrors on one side, and Gestapo agents wearing headphones sitting in the basement. It is likely that Salon Kitty was a common brothel for Berlin's power elite and their foreign friends. The establishment flourished from 1939 to 1942, but in 1943, a bomb hit the building, destroying the third and fourth floors. The House of Tolerance moved to a less prestigious basement and ceased to be elitist, but continued to operate. The salon operated until 1954, and many former female employees of the establishment remembered it with warmth. For some time after the defeat of Germany in World War II, brothels continued to exist. A ban on prostitution was introduced only in 1968. This was the end of the story of the escorts of the Third Reich, who were forced to serve men not by force, but by deception. Thank you for watching this video to the end. Subscribe to my channel and like it. Write in the comments on which topic to make the following video.